Greetings and welcome to another Kandid Conversation with Ken. Today I have a special guest, Mr. Kam Green.
You know what I'm saying?
And we're going to get enlightened because Kam is just a breath of fresh air. So I met Kam working with him.
Yep.
And we worked in a very different type of environment.
Hostile. Tedious. You know what I'm saying?
And in that environment, we were able to have great conversations.
Great. Amazing conversations. Deep conversations, yeah.
And I remember us just being in like what was it called? What do they call it?
Little team room?
The team room.
Yeah.
And me and Kam would talk about anywhere from a Breakfast Club interview. We would talk about just different things.
Yeah.
And that's what really got me through like the work day.
Yeah. It made it easier. It really did. I mean, to deal with that population, I ain't gonna get too in depth in it, but you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But those conversations, just the team environment, it just felt like family, just felt like you can just come in there and be yourself and just talk with your people. So yeah.
And that's why I thought you would be great for today.
Say less. Let's do it.
So let's get started. Every time people come in here, I ask them the same question. And that's just to get a feel for them as a person and for my viewers to get a feel for who you are. Mm-hmm. So Kam, who are you?
Kam is a lot of things. I'm a variety of things, but I'm a balanced individual. I would say that I'm just a genuine person. I love people hard. I'm always available to people. I make myself accessible, but I'm very honest with people. I'm just direct. I'm not a person that's going to lie to you. If you ask me for the truth, I'm going to give you the truth, and I'm going to do it wholeheartedly. And everything that I do just comes from the bottom and just all sincerity, honestly. So I'm just a person who just shows love to everybody, and I don't hate on nobody. Just show love, and I do my own thing. And I just work myself till I get to my goals. I'm always trying to grow. So that's pretty much me.
And so you said something, and I think a lot of people have been asking me to do this topic, so I think that's where I want to go. But you said you're a balanced person. Mm-hmm. How does one get to balance?
I think being able to, I guess I would say just someone who doesn't do too much. I guess they're just someone who knows how to decipher what is and what isn't, and knowing how to like balance your life as far as when you're at work, this is who you are at work. You know, when you're at home, this is who you are at home. You know, when you're around family, just all of those dynamics is just like, okay, you're even playing field. And then on top of that, when I speak to people as well, I come from a standpoint of trying to understand them versus just trying to understand me fully. Like, you know, like especially when you get into like a heated discussion with somebody, I listen for their perspective as well as just giving my own. So like I always come off just, level headed and just like, okay, I can understand why I'm upset, or I can understand why I feel the way that I feel. But at the same time, just because they disagree with me does not mean that we arguing or that, we have an issue with one another. It's just like I got to keep an open mind towards that. So I guess that's where the balance comes in. So, yeah.
So when I look at you, it's just hard for me to see. Honestly. So another thing, and everybody I have on here I admire in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. And Kam, I admire you specifically because you have like a lot of wisdom. And we've talked about that. I'm like, you have so much wisdom for your age. And that was always something I said. But I look at you, you're a professional speaker, you're an entrepreneur, life coach, you're a husband. And then you're always just dropping these jewels and knowledge, and you just have room to give to people. Yeah. So with all of these hats that you wear, to me, it's just like, I hear you. I hear you. But how do you find balance within all of that?
Self-care.
Okay.
Yeah. Self-care. Like, honestly, exercising, talking to God, not taking things too seriously. Just because you have a busy life don't mean that you can't be human. And so that's the biggest thing. Like, I could work like a machine, but I'm actually human. So that's the reason why I'm like, it's okay to mess up sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to rest. It's okay to, like, I like to play Madden. Like, don't guilt trip me because, I talk about work ethic, but I'm over here playing Madden. That's how I decompress. Like, it's okay to live a little, just outside of just your normal expectation of or what people perceive you to be. So it's like, yeah, no, you can be human. Just don't let people overwhelm you with what they want to see from you. You want to see something for yourself. And if I love myself enough, then I'm going to give myself time to rewind or unwind and just, know what I'm saying? Just get to a place of where I want to be. So yeah.
Yeah. So I see this evolved man.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends and family see this evolved man.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your story so they can see the evolution.
I don't have. I got 1,000 stories, but
the most important.
The most important one is that a lot of people don't know about me, or people do know about me now that I talk about my life coaching journey and just public speaking journey. And my vision with life coaching is, helping my clients go from underdog to top dog through finding, feeling, and following their dreams. And so for me, I was always the underdog. I'm always counted out, and people doubted me and all of those things. And it started very early in my, adolescent years, or I guess like childhood and everything like that, from when I got held back in the first grade because they felt that I didn't retain enough information to move forward. So I got held back in the first grade. It did something to me because I was the biggest student in the class. And so throughout elementary school, they put me in remediation classes. Well, pull-out classes was considered mental retardation at the time. That was terminology at the time. So I was in those remediation classes, and they would pull me out, and I'd just be like, I don't really need this, but if y'all feel like because I, got held back, then sure. And so it did something to me because, I was, like I said, I was the biggest student in my class. Students was like looking at me left and right. Teachers looking at me left and right. You had to hear whispers. You hear people joking around, and it's like, well, damn, all right. That's how I feel. So I felt some type of way. And then once I got to like the 5th grade, they ended up testing me over everything that I knew and found out that I was on a high school level. And they took me out of those pull-out classes and took me out of the remediation classes. And at the time, it was the tax test, if you're from Texas. So it was the tax test, and I ended up failing the math portion of the tax test. And as a result, I had to repeat the 5th grade. So that's 2 grades. I was already the biggest. And I'm like, well, like, I felt so down upon myself. Like, it really did a number on me because I'm like, dang, like, am I really dumb? Am I really slow? Am I anything like these people are telling me? And so it just did something to me. And then once I had to repeat, I went through it. And then once I got to middle school, I ended up joining the AVID program, the college preparatory class and all of those things. And then once I got to high school, I said, I'm going to grind. And I ended up, spending 13 hours in school each and every single day. If school started at 7:30, we got out at 2:35, went to tutorials, left that, went to football practice, left that, went to driver's ed, left that, went to night school. I'd be the last student to leave campus because my mom would worked in a medical center, so she'd get there around like 8, 9 o'clock. And then Monday through Thursday, I'm just going home, eating, shower, homework, repeat that cycle Monday through Thursday. And on Fridays, we had game night. So, football games and everything like that. So school was life. It was really life. And I spent 13 hours and ended up graduating high school within 3 years and then going off to Prairie View. People projected me not to go to college. They said that Prairie View was a party school and that I was going to flunk out the first semester because I was going to all of these parties. Wasn't my reality. Ended up finishing my freshman year. Ended up, getting on to my sophomore year, getting more involved in the campus. Then getting to my junior year, end up pledging, Alpha, and then joining different other organizations and just having a GPA that was over a 3.0 GPA, just all of those different things that I was doing. And I ended up, graduating college. And so that's pretty much my story. They really counted me out my entire life. And so every single time it was like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. I'm not necessarily just doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself, but at the same time, I'm proving wrong while I'm doing it for myself. So, yeah, that was me.
I've had no. So me and Kam have had several conversations. And this has never been one
thousands of conversations.
And this has never been one of them.
That's my story. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So for some people, and I'm amazed because this happened to you in 1st grade. This also happened to you in 5th grade.
Yep.
So what made you at that young age have the grit, the determination to keep going? Like, what was inside of you that said, I'm not going to let these people count me out? Because a lot of people would have just been like, you know what? That's it.
Not facts.
What kept you going? What kept you motivated?
I want to say God, but I wasn't like following the way, like as a kid, you don't really you believe in God, but you don't like follow. You just do what your parents tell you, especially in a black household, you Christian because they told you to. And it wasn't like until you get older, you realize why am I, but I would just say I think I believed in myself, even though I was self-conscious of myself. And my mom used to be kind of really hard on me. Like, you know, every time I would talk negative, she'd be like, man, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And I was like, okay, that hurts. That's not really the encouragement I need, but it just toughs me up in such a way to where it's like, well, words don't really hurt. I mean, after a while, you hear the teacher say stuff, you hear students say stuff. And then at the time, I even had family members that would doubt me because I was like a quiet child. You know, they was like, you know, can he talk? Like, what's wrong with him? Can he talk? And, you know, when my brothers and my mom would come around, they're like, yeah, he can talk. He don't shut up when he at home. But, you know, like, he can talk. And it really wasn't that I was quiet at all. Because like they said, I really was talking. But I think the majority of the time, I was just being observant to people. I really observed people's personalities and who they were as, you know, people. And so when I began to talk, I knew how to deal with that person. So that's really what it was. I'm still observant. I just like to look and ask questions. So that's always been me. So when everything happened, I just was immune to failure. And I said, I'm not afraid to fail. So I'm going to shoot for the stars. I'm going to prove these people wrong. Like in 5th grade, the I guess you could say the tutor or whoever, he was right at one point in time. He, you know, saying, you're not going to pass this test. And I'm like, all right. But in the long run, I'm going to prove you wrong, you know, with everything. And that's exactly what it was. So I had that grit.
And you said you feel like you got it from God, but you also feel like it just came from wanting to prove people wrong. It was
that, you know, just my childhood, just how I came up. Like, I had adversity from, you know, my parents divorcing early on. I remember seeing that unfold. Like, my parents divorced when I was 4. And, you know, just my dad ended up remarrying and all of those things. I can go on all day about that, but that did a number on me. I watched how my mom had to struggle. I watched the adversity. We didn't always have a car. We had to catch the metro with groceries in our hands, walking to the house. Like, I went through so much adversity to where it just made me like, what is struggling? What is failure? What is all of this? It's like, it's nothing. Like, I can make it through if I can do this, I can make it through that. I can make it through anything. So yeah, that was literally my outlook on everything.
So seeing everything that you were going through at home was also like fuel to keep going.
Yeah. And that helped me get through college. Because every time I would come home for like a winter break or summer or whatever the case may be, I would come back to A-Leaf and literally look at people that I went to school with, look at my brothers, look at anybody that was in the streets or just any type of, and I was just like, yeah, that's not what I want for myself. I remember working at Home Goods like soon as I had graduated, and I remember working there for like $8 an hour, and we got paid weekly, so I wasn't really getting no hours. I was getting like $50, $60 checks, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in school. Like that was the thing, like, bro, stay in school. Like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in school. So that took me, I was like, with all of the stuff that's going on, and I used to see people that used to be like the most successful person or most likely to succeed in life, and they working at these regular jobs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, if you was the person that was supposed to go off and do all of these big things, and then, you know, the roles reversed, and I'm the person that everybody didn't expect to do anything, and I'm over here now doing this. So that kept me going. So yeah,
I love it. I love it. Okay, so one question I always have, and it's because I've seen it too, right? When you go through things, it sucks when you're going through it.
Yeah.
But when you're on the other side, and I can just speak from my own personal example, when you're on the other side of it, it's just like, dang, I've gotten through it. And I've even heard preachers talk about it, like when they say, like, you've gone through things, it just makes you stronger. You have more wisdom. And the same stuff that used to knock you down when you were younger, you don't even worry about it. So the same adversity that once used to break you now is kind of your strength. Do you think you would be the same person had all that stuff? We talk about divorce. We talk about the schooling. We talk about just different adversities that you face. Do you think you would be the same person with the Kam Green that we see if that stuff didn't happen?
I think it made me everything that I am. Everything that I didn't want to go through made me everything that I am. Honestly, like, I couldn't imagine. I don't even know. Like, that's crazy to me to even think of looking at my parents married. I can't even.
Yeah.
To this day, I literally, like, I think it's weird that they were once together. They were once married. They had 3 boys together. it just, to me, it just blows my mind. I'm like, nah, like, yeah, I just can't see it. And then on top of that, just everything that we did, just me, my mom, and my brothers, and then my god brother came into the house, and so it was us, 5 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment, and they leave off of Spice Lane, So it was like, that's our reality. And so I think even that block where I grew up on, it literally, forced me to be something, because the thing was, they was gonna punk you until you fight back.
That's true.
And they not gonna let you be soft. You gonna have to toughen up. And I remember there was a boy, they used to wait right there by my steps, because I stayed on the 2nd floor. He used to be on the 1st floor on the steps, and literally would like bully me because I was new to the block. Like, why is he always like?
Ain't got nothing else to do.
And like, he was hiding in the bushes. I'm like, dang, what the? And then over time, I said, I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I had to fight him. He got my respect. Like, I got his respect. He's like, oh, so you pushing back now? So like, that's all he wanted from me. He's like, I just want you to push back. I'm like, oh, so if I keep pushing back, you won't mess. All right, cool. So say less. Let me do that. I ain't know no better. I was like 8, 9. So it's like, okay. And then I had a friend that I considered a friend at the time. Like, the neighborhood used to always make us like slap boxing, and we used to turn into like real fights. And like, there was one day we was getting ready for school, and it was like early in the morning. He wanted to. I'm like, bro, why are you trying me this morning? So I had to fight him that day, and it literally just, those things molded me. So I don't think that if I done anything differently, that it would have, if my life would have been totally different, I don't think I would have had the grit and that, just that oomph in me to do whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. And so you said something, and I think this should be a message to everybody who's watching. You were like the guy. He said all I wanted you to do was fight back.
Yeah.
And I think with the past the past year that we had, and then even 2021, because it has just been already just something
left and
serious.
Right.
I think the message is life really just wants you to fight back. Like, things are going to happen. Some of them we're prepared for. Some of them we're not prepared for. But you can't crumble. Life is just saying, fight back. Like, keep going. Fight back. And then you'll persevere. Then you'll get the strength you need for each task.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people haven't learned that lesson. So fortunately for you, you learned it with the guy hiding in the bushes. Yeah,
he popped out. And then on top of that, my brothers too. Like, I'm the baby of my children. So with that being said, and then my guy, but like we fought. Wow. We fought. Like, and they big dudes, like 6 foot plus, you know what I'm saying? Like, 200 something pound people, you just fighting these Goliaths all the time. And it's like, they bullied you, and it's like, all right, well, you're going to have to fight them back. So I had to fight my brothers growing up, and we, like, real life fist fights. Like, there was one time my brother had my nose leaking. Like, I remember it was just like really, really that way, and but it molded me. He just told me like, all right, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I think we all should fight back more.
Yeah, no, I think it's vital. I think if you want to get anywhere, you're gonna have to go through some type of adversity and push back. So might as well just push back.
Yeah, I agree. So we get to college.
Yeah.
And then we realize we have to fight back. We realize that life isn't what we thought. I don't want this life that I've seen. Yeah. So we get to college. What was the most important lesson that you learned from college to where you are now? Because those are childhood is different. College is different still too. Yeah. But you transform a lot. So what was one of the biggest lessons that you learned during those periods?
Through college, I think I found out more of who I was in college. I think that's for anybody though. Like, you get that identity of like that you're molding yourself into that adult. I had to grow up very, very early. So, as a child, I was walking myself to school. Like, my brothers would already be at school and work. So in 3rd grade, I'm getting myself up in the morning, getting myself dressed and walking to school. My mama trusts me to do that every single day. So I had responsibility already. And then once I got to college, it was like I experienced life so early to where in college I was a little bit more mature. I was still childish, of course, because of my age, but mentally, in certain ways, I was more mature than my peers or people that was my age as well. So it was just different. When I got to college, that's when I actually found God. Like, I believed in God. I went to church, all of those things, but I actually found God and actually knew what it meant to live for Christ or to, what the actual gospel meant. That wasn't until college because I really didn't understand all of those things. I just did what my parents told me to do. And so that was something that helped me throughout college, was just like that faith-based thing. Just the community of friends that I had. I think I had a friendship or community of friends that I've never had in my life, like real life friends. Like when my aunt died, my boy gave me his car. Said, "Hey, bro," I didn't have a car at the time. I was just struggling college student. Gave me his car. "Hey, bro, go to your auntie funeral." I'm like, oh dang, like you trust me with this. Like, and then growing up in my household, my brothers used to take stuff from me. So me laying things around, I never was used to people not taking my stuff or not stealing my stuff or not using my stuff. It's like, wait a minute, I could really leave my wallet right here and you're not gonna touch it. Yeah. Like, so I had those type of experiences in college, and then I guess transitioning into adulthood is just more so of just being cognitive and just knowing that how to look at different people in my, versus like I guess when we used to work at, where we worked at, I knew how to deal with people. I knew how to deal with people there. I knew how to conduct myself and just, all of those things. I think that I had a full identity in myself. I knew who I was before that. And then just later on, I realized like these things don't align with my values at all. So I realized that college can help you could major in something and graduate with something and never really use it and never really care to, pursue that as far as within your degree. And it helped me to, I guess, once I got out into the adulthood and learned like, okay, just because I wanted to do this in college, like things change. And that sucks that you realize that later on. And there's a lot of people that get to their senior year and realize they don't want to be in this major anymore, that they changed their mind, but they want to graduate, so they don't go back anymore. So for me, it's just I realized like, okay, I want to do something that truly aligns with my values. I don't want to just wake up and go to work every single day. Now, there's some people that can decipher the two, like, okay, this is just a job. This is not my real life. This is just a job. But for me, if I'm working towards something, if I'm going hard for something, it got to be something that I like or enjoy or I can see myself doing every single day. So that's, I guess, I hope that answers your question. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So college, you found God, and God helped you kind of find your purpose.
Yeah.
As to what you wanted to do and what you definitely didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How has God helped you in other areas of your life? So you've transformed, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
How has God helped you in other arenas and areas of your life?
God has helped me to love people, even when they don't deserve it.
That's tough.
Yeah. I learned to serve people in such a way to where it was just an amazing feeling for myself. Just, I think like the service part, pouring into people and learning that I'm called to minister to everybody. Like everybody who is a believer is called to minister. That doesn't mean you get in front of a pulpit and get to preaching. Like, nah, that's not necessarily ministry. Ministry is this, like literally you with your clients. You can talk to them, and for me, like with my clients, I pray with my clients. Like, I don't know, it's just something about that. It's just like I like to be holistic. I like to be natural with it, and I feel like that's really what God is. God is very non-judgmental, very graceful. He, even in the Bible, it talks about how He spoils us with His, grace and mercy, and we're just spoiled in that. And so I look at that, and I look at the characteristic of Jesus. People always try to make Jesus seem like this snobby, uppity type dude that was always in the suburbs and hanging out with the perfect people. But nah, Jesus was in the hood. Like, he was hanging out with the prostitutes and the tax collectors, and they was like, hey, you need to stone her. She out here in these streets. She like, are you perfect? Like, nah. Yeah. So that's why I literally look at myself, and I mean, if we're made to be in God's image and we're supposed to be Christ-like, then I'm in the trenches too. Like Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like He went through some things that I identify with as a black man. A lot of people tell you don't believe in, as black people, we shouldn't believe in Christ, but it's like, bro, Jesus is the blackest story I've ever heard of. Like, this man was accused for some stuff he didn't do and was persecuted for it and had to suffer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that sound like us. And he hanging out with the people that's in the street, and he's trying to pour into these people and convert them to out of this life. And that's really what I do. I'm with life coaching. I literally like, hey, there's a better life out here for you, and I advocate that for my friends as well. Because success for us was get an apartment, get a job, get a car. You're successful.
Yeah.
You're successful. Nobody tell you about, hey, that same $1,600 that you paying for that apartment, you can own a house with that. That's a mortgage, right? Oh, like, okay. So I'm on that way of like, you can have better. There's no reason why you should not want better. And you don't have to associate success with being white. Because a lot of people, like, you move to the burbs, you're trying to be like a white person. No, success doesn't necessarily mean that white is right. That literally means you're trying to be a successful black person, trying to move and do something different and change your narrative. So, yeah.
And so God allowed you to love people.
God allowed me to love people and to see all of those things and to pour into people and make them to see differently in themselves.
I have 2 questions and then I'm going to wrap it up for you.
Okay.
1, because I know that can be hard, and I want to ask this question because I know someone watching may be struggling with this, especially in a relationship with God. And then I sit, I'm a therapist, so I sit with people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the hardest person for you to love? For God to say, you know what, you need to love this person in spite of. You can give me a false answer or just a description.
I can't. See, that's what I said. I can't lie to people. I mean, I know she hates when I say this, but my mother was the hardest person. Simply due to the fact that I was raised in a household with my mother and, 5 boys, and 4 boys in the house, but she can't teach us how to be men, especially black boys in America, and not only America, Texas. So that's a challenge within itself. But it was hard for me to, I guess, deal with my mother because I saw her hurt. I saw her brokenness, and it would make me be struggling within how I would deal with women. Even though with my parents not being married, I didn't know longevity until I met my wife. I don't know how to date people for this long. If I'm bored or if something happens, then it just, we don't go past this, this time period. It's just like something like that. So I think, all of those things played a pivotal role in that. I was angry at my mother growing up, but once I got older, I realized I was not angry with my mother. I was angry at her brokenness. I was angry at the things that she went through. I was angry at her trauma, and she didn't know how to express herself. So based on how she was raised and based on her trauma, based on her brokenness, that's what she raised us to be and see. And so, kids are like sponges. Kids don't notice. No, kids pay attention to everything.
Yes.
And so for me, that's literally what it was. I noticed that my mother could have had better, could have definitely done better. But because of the mentality, it hindered her and it broke me. So I had to learn how to love her past what I saw and understand it was something deeper than that.
I like that. I love it, actually. And I think I love it more so because I feel like a lot of people can relate.
Yeah.
One of the biggest, I wouldn't even call it epidemic because it's so normal right now. It's like single parents, right? And a lot of people.
It's too common.
It's very common. So a lot of people see their parents raising them. And I'm an only child. My mom was a single parent for a good majority of my life. You see them because it's you and that person. And luckily for me, I was grateful that my mom did her best to shelter me from a lot of stuff. But my anger was towards my dad for not being there. So it was the opposite end of the spectrum for me. But I think a lot of people can relate to that because it's just like God may call you to do something that don't seem right. And I had to forgive my father too. I had to learn
I'm still trying to forgive my father. I love him dearly, but I'm learning to forgive.
Oh no, that's something I had to pray about, and God would really it would come to me in dreams because I thought I was okay, right? And God would just be like, no, you're not. You need to call him. And then he would give me instructions. I was like, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow would turn into a month. So God would really deal with me in terms of that. And I think a lot of people need to hear that because, one, redemption is important. And it's important to see people as human because we've all been through things and we're going to go through things that shape the person that we are. Yeah. And we have to give people grace because ultimately we want someone to give us grace. And that's and that's why I'm really big on grace and mercy because I'm like, I know I haven't been perfect. Yeah. So I need people to look at me and see that as well. But also, it's just like you have to forgive. And I know you said you're still forgiving your father, but the ability to forgive your mother for doing, I guess, essentially for doing the best she could with what she was given. Yeah.
And just for clarification, I never was angry with my dad the way I was angry with my mom because I was in the household with my mom, but I was angry with my dad because he wasn't in the household. And for him, I had to realize I actually like you. You're a cool cat. You just make some decisions that affect other people. Like, you don't think about what this gonna do to everybody. You literally in the moment and you think about yourself. And so I guess over time I had to forgive him. I had to forgive my stepmother. I had to forgive a lot of people in my life. And it's like, I can't grow God when, you don't get favor out of having hatred and bitterness in your heart. So forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive yourself. And just let go. If you don't let go, then it's gonna build up. It's gonna build up, and as an adult, you're gonna be the person that everybody don't like. Like, honestly.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in this, because you went through a lot in terms of like trauma as a child, as an adult, just trying to navigate through it because you never saw anybody do it. At any point in time, did you say, you know what, Cam?
Mm-hmm.
You need to talk to somebody. And if so, who did you talk to?
No, I ended up going to a therapist.
Black men go to therapy.
Dude, listen, go to therapy, normalize therapy, honestly and truly. So yeah, I went to therapy, but that wasn't until like I started working at, where we was working at, and I was just like, this ain't right. Like, I don't feel right. I feel depressed. I'm like, I shouldn't feel depressed doing this. And I'm like, and the crazy thing about it was the people that we was dealing with that was, diagnosed on all those things, I started seeing those characteristics within my family. So I'm like, this doesn't escape me at all. Yeah. Like, I go to work and feel this way, and when I go home, I'm feeling the same exact way. So I need to go talk to somebody. And come to find out, I had what we can call a values misalignment, where I work did not align with my values. And on top of that, I had the therapist said it this way, because I was like, dang, I never thought about it that way. But she said, you have an entrepreneurial spirit in a structured job setting. And I said, I didn't know how to put it that way, but yeah, that's exactly what that is. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a boss-like mentality, but I'm in this structure to where you're telling me this, do that, and that's never been mine. I like to be open. I like to be free. I like to wake up and feel creative. And if I'm not in that space, then you don't get the best of me. So yeah.
So now we're getting the best of you.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your life coaching.
Yeah.
You're doing your public speaking engagements.
Public speaking, life coaching. I'm dabbling into a lot of arenas. I'm even went as far as to get my license in life insurance. Like, I'm helping people out in so many different ways. Like, I look at our communities, like there's a Black and Latino communities, and there's so many people that I be seeing on Instagram who they pass away, and people got to do GoFundMe accounts. And I'm like, bro, why is that a thing? Yeah. Like, let's educate our people to know that you can get some life insurance to cover all of this. And there's so much more to that I can go into, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we're getting the best of you, what would you tell someone watching to make sure that we get the best of them? And you this got to be big, Cam, because you speak life into people for a living. So
yeah.
What would you tell someone to make sure that we get the best out of them?
Trust God even when things go wrong. Like, that's ultimately, and I said this on I think Levance's platform. I said, I was talking to my dad one day and talking to him, and he was talking about some stuff that he was worried about. I said, man, when you make your problems bigger than God, your problems become your God, because that's all that you're giving your energy and your time to.
Yeah.
When you're worried about something all day, like even in the Bible it talks about, what can you, get back an hour for, just that time. Like, what does it do for you to worry so much? And in scripture it talks about, the birds in the sky, they don't reap, they don't sow, and yet your heavenly Father still feeds them, and it says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be given to you, or all things will be added to you. Don't worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, or what you're going to wear. For the, pagans or the Gentile or whatever, they worry about these things, but your heavenly Father knows that you need them. So he knows what you need. And so for you to go through adversity, you have to learn how to trust him fully, even when things are not going as they're supposed to go, or what you expect them to go. And understand that God blessing you does not mean you get a mansion and become a millionaire, because God's purpose for you is not for you to be all of that. And if your platform or your talents provide a way to where that happens, then all glory to him. But ultimately, your purpose is whatever he done designed for you, and you to trust him through that. And knowing that success looks different for whoever it is out there. So trust God even through adversity, and be genuine and love on people. I love that. Yeah. Thank you, Cam. Thank you. Do you want to promote your platform really quickly before we head out? Come get coaching at saylesscoach.com. You can go and book me for a consultation. We can chop it up, see what you're looking for. Also, you can follow me at Say Less Coach on Instagram, as well as you can check out the Green Light Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, all that good stuff. We are on there. We talking about some stuff, and yeah, we got a lot of content. But also follow my nonprofit, Say No More the brand. Say No More the brand on Instagram, and we always in the community, always doing something, giving back, or cleaning up, feeding the, we're doing stuff. So we always trying to do something and educating people on Black history and Women's History Month. We trying to do something for the people and be the change that we want to see. So Say No More the brand, Say Less Coach, Kam Green is all good. So yep.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you guys for watching.
Peace.